give some people time to get here. So I'm going to put my son-in-law on the spot as one of our sponsors. Jonesy's Cookies over there. Give him a hand. We'll have a little advert while we wait for some people to come in here. Thurman Jones, tell us a little bit about Jonesy's.
Well, first and foremost, thank you everybody for come on in, buddy. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here to sponsor Jonesy's Cookies. We're super excited. Before we get started, can everybody do this for me? Follow me right here. Can everybody do this? All right. Okay. Y'all feel it? Say Jonesy's. Say Jonesy's. Say Jonesy's. Say Jonesy's. That's pretty much all I had. But listen, that's all I got. I didn't have really planned. But listen, you can't replace, I know we're learning about OpenClaw tonight, and that's amazing, but we can never replace a human element of what technology can truly do. And I say all that to say, when we make these cookies, we're always looking for that human element. I can put any description out there and put anything on Instagram, but I can never replace the smiles and the warmth we get from making these cookies. So, if you haven't tried our delicious product, my wife and I started this thing in 2020 during COVID. She's a school teacher and she used to write notes on the cookies, and this thing has blossomed. And so we're stepping out on faith to be able to launch our cookie company. So we would love your support. If you haven't tried a cookie, I don't know what you're waiting on, but go get a cookie. Scan that QR code, follow us. We would love your support. And I hope you guys have fun tonight learning about how to partner with this amazing OpenClaw technology that we have, because the wave of the future is here, and y'all are part of the future, okay? So thank y'all so much. Thank you, dear. There we go.
And that was complete improv, I just want to say.
Yes, it was.
I need a little sprinkle.
Absolutely.
I need a little sprinkle of that.
I'll have fun tonight.
See, more people came in. Have a seat over here.
Grab some cookies before you sit down.
Grab some cookies, have some water, and then we'll...
Don't pick me up.
Hey guys.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm technically.
All right, since that worked just a second ago, let's everybody just. Welcome to OpenClaw, Dallas, Fort Worth, Arlington. Great venue. Thank you everybody for being here. Quick questions before we start out. Who drove the furthest to get here? Because we're going to be all over the Metroplex, and I know some people came a long way. So anybody here from outside of the DFW area, lift your hands. All right. What state? Who drove the furthest?
Oh, I came from Roanoke.
Right next to you,
New York.
New York. Anybody further than New York?
Wisconsin.
Kansas City.
California.
California, where California? What? LA?
San Francisco.
San Francisco got you beat. So, can we just give those guys a hand to come all the way? I appreciate you guys. All right, we're here to talk about the power of the claw. Let's hope my computer works. Arco, what are you doing? All right, this is the evolution of men, right? We're all riding the claw. The evolution of intelligence. We started out being ants, and yeah, now we are having lobsters that do tricks. What the hell? So, what is ClawCon? ClawCon was born out of an idea in San Francisco. Somebody just said, hey, let's have all the claw people get together. Let's see what happens. And MSG started this, and he messaged the inventor of OpenClaw, Peter Steinberger, and said, hey, I have a little spot here for us, February 4th. How many people can we get? Maybe 10, 20 people show up. And indeed, 1,300 people ended up being in the building, crammed in. They had a capacity of 720, and yeah, people were lined up Market Street and had over 4,000 live viewers for that event. Since then, from one night in San Francisco, the next one was in Vienna, then we had New York, then Austin a couple of weeks ago. Who here was in Austin?
I was registered.
Yep. So we had Austin a few weeks ago, and Dallas, Fort Worth today, and then Miami tomorrow. And yeah, these OpenClaw events are going to be all over the nation. Now, importantly, ClawCon is all about community. So they're getting sponsors and creating global chapters and developer resources, and they have big companies sponsor OpenClaw, ClawCon, and have open source grants. We don't just want to put on events, we want to fund a movement, and it's all about community, and it's all about working together. And so the big thing is anybody can create an OpenClaw event. You don't need to wait for somebody to just say, hey, I'm doing OpenClaw DFW. You can do your own event. For me, it started about 4 weeks ago when I was on travel in Nashville, and I was like, hey, is anybody in Nashville doing the Claw thing? And I had got one guy on Discord pop up and said, yeah, I'm in Nashville. I was like, okay, let's get together. So we got together, and since I was only there for a short time, I said, you know what, I'm going to be here for 1 more week. What would it take for us to put an event together? And he's like, I don't know, we can fit 10 people in this conference room. I was like, great, 10 people, shouldn't be too hard to do. So we put it on Luma, we put it on Discord. Next thing I know, we had like over 50 people showing up. We were at Bitcoin Park, we had the event sponsored. It was quite fun. So when I came back to DFW, I said, hey, why don't I just host DFW ClawCon? Because I didn't see anybody in Dallas-Fort Worth putting on ClawCon. So sometimes you can just do things. You don't have to wait and ask for permission. You just go, all right, let's just do this. So luckily enough, through a friend of mine, Catherine Laverly in Austin, she connected me with MSG, and MSG was like, why don't you host it and come in and do the official thing? I was like, all right. And so, yeah, here you are. Here I am. And here we go. Let's go. First off, thank you to our sponsor, Dream City Ventures. They connected us with Spark Co-working, and they helped us with hosting this beautiful space, making the room available to us. Then NewGenesisVitality.com. It's a telehealth company that I'm part of. Jonesy's Cookie Company, thank you. See, biggest applause right there. And then Anyal Parikh with Sapphire Group, thank you. And then, yeah, thank you to our host, Spark Co-working, for having us. All right, if you want to be part of ClawCon, just, you know, do the QR thing and let's rock and roll. Our first speaker is going to be Justine, and she is going to tell us all about Milo. Woo! Woo! All right.
All right. All right, starting in a second, as soon as I get all my Apple products in alignment here.
What do you need?
Oh, just to pop this open, I'm good to go.
Oh.
All right. Ooh, okay, I'll just hold it so I don't cause any casualties. All right. So, hello everyone. I'm going to be presenting to you Milo in the Agent Enterprise. 8 agents, 1 Mac Mini, 0 hours of sleep needed, though this will cause you to lose sleep because you can't put it down once you start it. However, they built everything themselves. I personally don't code. I do a lot of AI stuff at my job. I'm a major incident manager for Amazon. So means when things break, it's my job to make sure that nothing's falling through the cracks and that everything is resolved in a timely manner. I had a similar problem in my personal life. It needed management, it needed direction, and it got overwhelming for me. I'm very type A, I like everything organized. My inbox got up to 5,000 emails. So when I started building Milo, he started as a solo agent, it was, how can I apply this to my own life? How can I make him helpful for me? And I really needed to see the use case. And I'm hoping that's what I'll kind of give you all today, is a good overview of not just how to build things like mission control. There's videos out there that you can do that. I want to tell you guys what I'm actually doing with Milo today and all the things that he does for me. So what is Milo? Milo is an AI orchestrator, and he's running on a dedicated Mac Mini. He's not a chatbot, he's not a reminder app, he's the one who makes sure things actually get done. On one side you have me, managing a calendar, inbox, groceries, health, coding projects for my own personal interest. And on the other side, there's 8 specialist agents, each an expert in their own domain. Milo sits between us. He understands the context of my life, and he routes tasks to the right agent. I don't have to tell him who to spin up or who to give the task to. He understands, based on their capabilities and the task at hand, who to delegate it to and how to split those up. I ended up hitting a snag that once Milo got to the point where he really could do everything I needed him to do, well, then I would send him out on a task, and while he was working on that task, I couldn't keep talking to him. So I was like, well, how do I get to the next level where I can talk to Milo the whole time, and if he needs to get a task done, he can spin up a sub-agent, get it done, and I don't have to break my conversation with him. This wasn't built in a weekend. It took time to tune, test, figure out how I wanted to change things. Too many reminders, not enough reminders, finding that space in the middle that it worked perfectly for me. And at this point, it has genuinely changed how I operate. I don't think about my email inbox. I don't think about, did I put that thing on my calendar? I just send a text to Milo, and he handles it. So let me introduce you to the team that we have built here. 8 agents, 1 orchestrator. Milo is the brain. He's warm, a little witty. He feels like a real assistant. He's very humanized. Does not feel like you're talking to an AI agent. Feels like you're talking to a friend, a buddy, and somebody that's trying to help you get stuff done in a timely manner. He's the only one I talk to. I don't communicate with the others. He handles that back and forth, and I just talk to him right through iMessage. He's the one who knows all my preferences, my context, and exactly how to handle it. Then you've got the specialist. Archie handles research. Atro owns the calendar. Eris runs procurement for Instacart, DoorDash, Amazon. Hef writes the code. Herc tracks health. Merck manages email, and Theo reviews every line of code before it ships. Milo is the person. The sub-agents are the experts. They're not really my friends, but Milo has definitely become my friend at this point. That distinction matters a lot in the way that you build this. There's 3 channels, and I have 3 separate uses for them. iMessage is primary. It's on my phone. It's mobile. It's easy for me. I like everything in the same thread. I'm not switching from one app to another. I'm not looking for things in other apps, walking through a process. It's one text message to Milo. He handles the rest. Telegram is for when I'm at my computer. To be honest, I just find this easier to type right on the computer if I'm already on it. If I'm already on it for work, I use Telegram to chat with them. If I'm out and about, I use iMessage. The way that I've been able to switch back and forth without losing all the context of my conversations is by building a memory bridge between the two. So Milo retains the conversation no matter if I'm talking to him in iMessage or Telegram. If I say something in Telegram that's referencing what we just did in iMessage, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. I don't have to catch him up or work in one single channel. It's whatever is easiest for me at the time. Discord is the audit log for us. Every agent posts to their dedicated channel anytime they are asked to do the task. They post the detailed output of what they did, exactly the steps they took. Meanwhile, Milo has a command center channel where he delegates tasks. So if I text him and say, hey, I need this done, he'll post in the command center and put who he's delegating to. When that sub-agent finishes their task, they put it in their own channel so I can see exactly what they did. Here's what this actually looks like in practice. I text Milo, we need stuff for tacos tonight. That's it. I don't open Instacart, I don't search for recipes, I don't think about what's already in the pantry. Eris handles the cart, locks a delivery slot, confirms the total back to me. I say yes, and adds some sparkling water. Done. Order confirmed, slot locked, new total, all in one single iMessage thread. For the engineers in the room, that one text triggered 3 agent turns, 2 API calls, a pantry file read, and a confirmation loop, all in about 90 seconds. Second exchange, I ask if there's anything on my calendar tomorrow. Calendar's clear, I say leave it open, it's UFC fight night. Atro gets notified to keep it clear, Milo confirms. Once again, no app switching, no hunting through your notifications, one thread with Milo. He coordinates the agents, I just talk to him. All right, now we're gonna go into the skill layer of what these agents actually have at their disposal. Skills are the instruction sets to give each agent their superpowers. Research, scheduling, procurement, code, health, email. Right now, there are 24 across the system that are our main skills. Of course, adding to this every day. Each skill is a markdown file, a skill.md with instructions, tool permissions, context, no compiled code, no dependencies. When Milo decides a task needs Eris, he reads Eris's skill file at runtime and follows it. That's the whole magic. It's text all the way down. When I need a new skill or want to update one, I describe what I want to Claude, writes a file, I paste it into the OpenClaw terminal, quick gateway restart, and Milo has it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Since you said your skills are your markdown files, does that mean like your soul.md would also be like a skill?
Yes. So it's not necessarily a skill in the way that it's not walking them through that, but yes, they have, all my agents have independent files that are their own personality. They are all a little bit different, kind of based on what their job is. Milo's is the most extensive because that's the one that's very humanized. He's the one I talk to. I don't really care if the others are, you know, super personable to talk to. I don't communicate with them. So having the soul, which is how they act, how they respond to you. Are they witty? Are they funny? Are they straightforward? Some people don't want to talk to it as a friend, just want to do it your stuff. Okay, don't build out that soul file. However, if you want something that's very personalized, very custom to you, it responds how you would respond. It talks to you how you want to be talked to. I definitely recommend spending some time on that soul file to make sure it's exactly what you want. Now the skills have to be refined over and over. I'll get into it a little bit more further down the presentation, but you really have to account for anything that might come their way. They're using this as their SOP, so to go through whatever you want them to do. So, for example, if a pop-up comes up on the screen and you're working with something that, you know, your agent's reading the skill file and he goes, okay, let's go to this site, do this, this, and this. Well, now a pop-up comes up and has ruined his whole flow. He doesn't know what to do. Does he exit out? Does he do something different? So you have to refine your skill files as these problems emerge to be able to navigate around that stuff.
I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
So I didn't know, I was writing them down. So
No, go for it.
So at the beginning, I was reading a little bit of your CV. How did you, working at AWS, because I know there's a lot of data controls there, does your system integrate with any of your work things, or do you keep a very big firewall between those two? And if not, how did you navigate that at a large company being allowed to do that?
Yeah, so we have a lot of internal tools at work. Currently, Milo, his agent enterprise, this is all set up to be on the Mac Mini. It is completely separate from all my work stuff. And that gave me a little bit more peace of mind, to be honest, just having it that way, because he was put onto a Mac Mini that had no personal files, no anything, and just given it as his playground. So for me, it was like, well, none of my personal stuff's on there. It's not connected to my work stuff, so let's spin it up and see how it goes.
Awesome.
Now with Amazon, I work on the .com side, not the AWS side. We use a lot of internal tooling. I do believe we're eventually going to move towards, I mean, I can tell you my framework for this year is completely based around Gen AI and how we can automate and improve and do less manual tasks ourselves.
Absolutely. And then you also mentioned that it persists context across chats and that kind of thing. I was just curious what your architectural approach was to that. Is it a database that you're writing to, and what is the context size that you use? I mean, how does it, when do you decide to flush that or rewrite it, that kind of thing?
I do try, I like to keep it neat and tidy. So preventing session bloat is definitely something I've been getting a lot more into. Cleaning out stale files, making sure there's no duplicates. As I said, I do not code, right? I have a Claude Pro $20 a month membership. That's what I use to troubleshoot. I go back and forth to, you know, write Python scripts, anything like that I need to do in Claude. I save my Claude tokens for when I need to fix my agents, for when I need to build something new. But to be honest, most of the time, I'll even save my Claude tokens a little bit more. I have them build it and then I have Claude review it. So that helps kind of cut down. I use Minimax API and I'll go into more of the cost breakdown and stuff like that. But as far as context goes, it's phenomenal. Awesome. It's $180 a year. You really can't beat it. We've never hit context limits. I've tried GPT. I've tried Claude API.
For your underlying, so what would be the underlying API that you call for the?
So all my agents are using Minimax.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So as far as, I don't recommend using GPT. I tried it. GPT has a lot of guardrails. It doesn't want to do it. It wants to tell you how to do it. I didn't want that. So that was why I moved away from GPT. As far as Claude goes, it's really good. It's just also really expensive. And if you've got, you know, $5,000 a month to chuck at it, great. Go get Claude Code. Yes, absolutely. But if you're like, hey, I don't have all the money in the world to just chuck for a personal agent, Minimax is a great alternative.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So you said you felt comfortable like with your Mac Mini because there were no personal files on there, just go have fun.
Yeah.
At what point did you feel comfortable enough to give it things like your credit card number, your Instacart account? Like, how did you judge when is it okay?
All my skill files are anything that's a purchase, that's something like that. Everything like that is set up human in the loop. My agents are never permitted to go out and make a purchase unless they're told to. They are never permitted until they give me the total, until they give me all details and I say approve. And that's built into their files that way.
Does that include talking out? Because I know integrating with iMessage, stuff like that, in certain contexts, especially with the Mac Mini, because you essentially have to hack the messages database to send and receive those. I ran into a problem where it started talking to people.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did set my skill files up. They can only message me.
Okay.
And my mom does have, so I set them up on their own iCloud email. I do not use my personal Apple. That was a little bit too close to the security side. So I didn't want to do that.
Even with Milo?
Yeah, even though Milo has gotten to a really dependable state, I like him working on his own system. And to be honest, as you can see, all my Apple products, like this is just a little bit too much access with, you know, the Apple account that I use on everything. So for me personally, it was set him up so he can do that, but also it is very clear in his instructions. He can talk to my mom back if she messages me first. He is not permitted to just message her, but if she asks him a question, he can reply. With me, he can talk to me, you know, anytime, but those are the only two contacts he has, and he is not supposed to go outside that. So setting your things up to be, and especially, you know, start small and then build up. You don't come in and just go, I'm gonna build this tomorrow. Like, I started with getting him solid on all of these skills, and now he hands these off his skills to his specialists. But I didn't do that before he was in a place where, honestly, he could be trusted.
Does your mom know it's Milo?
Yeah. My mom has, so a little bit of a funny story is my mom messaged him the morning of my birthday and told him it was my birthday and to make sure he told me happy birthday. He told me happy birthday about 42 times that day. So just, keep in mind, if other people are talking to your stuff, yes, things can happen like that.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So you talked about also your different agents and sub-agents having personalities, context in that way. So how did you go about assigning them personalities, and does that also translate to native language as far as using different languages and local dialects?
To be honest, I haven't looked too much into the language and dialect part of it, but I do think it's something that would absolutely be possible. As far as for what their personalities are, Milo picked them. These are all Milo's guys. So he kind of went through and built them all individual files that are aligned with what their job description is.
Do you start with like predefined personalities and modify them, or do you just let him do it from scratch?
I pretty much prompted it out in the way of being like, first of all, I asked him to name them all, which they have very long Greek names because that's what he picked. However, I've cut them all down to be nicknames because, to be honest, I just can't remember or pronounce, really. But he went through and then assigned them job roles. Once he assigned them job roles, he assigned them a personality that most fit the role they were in. And like I said, it's a fairly simple like soul MD for these sub-agents because I don't talk to them, so I don't care. Of course you can build them out to be as complex as you like. It just, for my use case, didn't really make sense. All right, let me see where I'm at here. Okay, so I want to talk about, what was that?
I do have a quick question.
Yeah.
So I know you mentioned something about GPT just telling you how to do it.
Yeah.
I faced those problems, so I switched out and even I use Minimax API.
Yeah.
But then my biggest concern was implementing security. Is there anything that you've done outside of just locking those skill files down or soul files down to make sure that, because if somebody got access to your iMessage email, they
Yeah.
start texting Milo, right?
Right. And
Anything you'd recommend? Because
I mean, part of that is also just going to be security on your side, right? So it's like, I would recommend if you're going to give, an iCloud account to your agent so that they can have a similar setup, don't use that email for anything else. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be using that iCloud email wherever, because I'm sure you guys see what you get for spam and phishing, and if you're putting that email out there, people are going to find it. I never send out from that email. Nothing goes to that email. That's just his iCloud account. So I would definitely recommend keep anything off it that you can, because you don't want that email address getting out, getting known to you. Don't use it for, even if you're just like, I don't use this email for anything else, like, let me throw this on there. I definitely, try to refrain from that. I like having everything just for him in his location. I don't do anything else on that Mac Mini. That's his playground. He does everything there. As far as if it accidentally gets out, I don't know. I think more so it's making sure your skills are set up and you're not kind of letting the AI run in a way that it can do whatever it wants. You need to give it guardrails and rules and what is it supposed to do and when is it supposed to do it. Like, if you're like, I don't ever want you to send out emails between these times, make sure it's not doing that. It's all on how you want to set it up and also the security level that you're comfortable with.
Because if you keep stacking up security, my engine's so dumb that it bothers me. Like, I want to kill it.
Yeah, well, and if you make it, if you just keep extending the length of your files,
Empty files.
if you have something buried all the way down here, your agents might see it. But if it's an important thing, you should have it right at the top every time you do this. And I've worked a lot with Claude and just kind of being like, hey, here's my skill file. How can we troubleshoot this? Or that's why I said, like, it's a lot of testing and tuning along the way. It's not like you can't go give, even if I put all this on GitHub and said, everybody go have fun with Milo. Like, I don't think it's going to just work for everybody out of the box right now. And this is not a product demo. Got it. And one of the things that I try to prevent is doing this iteration loop. So Hef is my main coding agent. Theo is the reviewer. They do 3 cycles before they even tell Milo that it's ready, which means that Hef codes it, Theo reviews it, they go back and forth. When they get it to a state where Theo approves it, Milo will then take a look. And then he'll tell me, okay, it's ready. Now, if it's something like a mission control or whatever, I'll take a look at it, give my feedback, whatever, but I always want them to go in this loop with anything they make. That way, nothing that's a half-finished product, and just, you want to make sure that they're going around this loop looking for anything that they can patch beforehand. So our real workflows in the wild. Like I said, Atro handles the calendar. If I'm at an appointment, I make a follow-up appointment, I text Milo, here's my follow-up appointment. He sends it to Atro, Atro puts it on the calendar. Eris orders groceries. Every week, Eris orders the Instacart order. So he puts it together with things I told him I needed throughout the week. And then he looks at our pantry and the things that we last ordered. And he goes, hey, based on this date, I think you might need this. Gives me a list. I tell him out of the recommendations what I want him to put on there. He adds it, moves on. Hef and Theo ship a skill, like I just talked about, that loop that I send them in. Herc is my wellness coach. He makes sure I get a walk-in and I'm getting my daily water goals every day. He will text me until I tell him where I'm at, what I'm doing, and that I've completed the task, and he will continue to text me till I stop. Now, if I did right in the morning say, I said, all right, I got my walk-in, I'm at my water goal, he won't text me for the rest of the day. I already hit my goals. He has nothing left to say. So Archie does a fact check. If I get a suspicious link, something I'm not sure of, or even just, with news nowadays, you want to go, hey, did this happen? Is this real? I send it to Archie. Archie goes and researches, tells me back in about 2 minutes whether I can trust what I'm looking at or not. And Merc, he cleans my inbox every day. I never even open my Gmail accounts. He goes through, marks everything as unread, files them into folders, and then gives me a little summary report right to my iMessage of what was in my email. As I said, Discord is our log. They do a nightly roundtable in there where they tell each other what's going on, what they did for the day, what they're proud of. And when I get up in the morning, I go and read what they did. It's honestly, it's really fun every morning to go up and see what they were chatting about, what was interesting to them. What we learned, like I said, start small, scale up slowly. The orchestrator is the hardest job, that's Milo. So if you're gonna build out these sub-agents, make sure your main agent is in a state where it can handle that. If you dump it on them tomorrow and they don't know much about anything, it's gonna be a mess. The browser needs iteration. Like I said, those pop-up windows, things that you didn't necessarily think needed to be in their skill file, you gotta test it and tune it and see how you can improve their skills. And in my opinion, the dedicated machine is worth it for the reasons that we've talked about, of just having them secluded from your personal devices that you're using for work, or have any files or pictures that you want to make sure your OpenClaw agent never touches. What they don't tell you. Initial setup, it's going to be heavy. You're not going to have somebody like Milo tomorrow if you start it today. It's just takes time to get to know you, context. Agents are going to push back. They're not just going to go out and do something. They're going to tell you how to do it over and over again. You need to push back on them, say, no, I want you to do it. I want you to figure it out. That's when you start getting them to the point where they can do it on their own. Like I said, why Minimax, 180 or 300 prompts every 5 hours and then it resets. I've never hit my contacts limits on it ever. And then spam versus personal. Do you want your agent telling you everything they're doing throughout the day constantly? Or do you want an agent that just goes and does their job and checks in a couple times a day, or not at all? Like I said, pop-ups break workflows. CAPTCHAs are something that you're going to have to get around when using the browser. Make sure they're using humanized movements so they're not getting caught as bots. Expired time slots happen if you're ordering groceries. You have to make sure they have a skill that tells them how to handle that if they come across it. And like I said, plan for iteration. You've got to see how your agents are running and testing them and constantly tuning them to be what you want them to be. Onboarding your agent, start with a survey, do a brain dump. Context early. You want to get them to know everything about them. You can tell them, hey, give me a survey and I'm going to answer it for you and tell you everything you need to know about me. Or is there anything you need to know about me? You got to go through that conversation for quite a while to get them the text. And expect weeks, not days. The goal is not to replace the human, it's to make the human feel like they have a whole team in their pocket. That's Milo's operating philosophy. And that's my QR code. If you want the link to my GitHub, more information about Milo, there's also a copy of this presentation on there and all my contact stuff. So go ahead and scan that if you like. And that's all.
All right, next up will be Bruno. But while he gets ready, I'm going to do something with y'all that the introverts in this room absolutely love. ClawCon, OpenClaw. It's all about community. It's all about coming together as a group and talking to each other. Well, most of y'all sit in the same spot since you walked in. So what I would love to do is everybody from this side of the room right now, get up, find somebody on the other side of the room, introduce yourself. What's your name? What's your favorite cookie flavor? And then what do you love about OpenClaw? What is the thing that excites you the most? All right, you have 3 minutes. Ready and go.
Come on, get up.
Go find a partner, go find a partner, go, 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 go.
Hey, I'm Johnny. I'm from Snickerdoodle. You come for the logo?
Find a partner.
If you haven't got it, please grab one.
Français de France ou du Canada, vous allez dire de où? Ah, t'inquiète. C'est un petit peu plus loin. J'essaie de convertir les termes à la français.
All right, guys. Everybody give it up for Bruno.
Hello everyone, my name is Bruno. I'm from France, as you can hear. We're all having a lot of fun, but I'm here also to talk about more unpleasant things like the costs of OpenClaw. As you probably know, it's expensive, hard to predict, and we'll see how we can try to fix that, or fix that partially, with something called model routing. First of all, there is two kinds of OpenClaw users, so let's make a quick poll. Who's using like subscriptions? Raise the hand. Yeah? Who's using API keys? Yeah, that's a good half-half. Who's using both? Wow. So, as you know, like subscriptions are a cheap way to get access to OpenClaw. However, sometimes they doesn't work. There is rate limits. They're legal sometimes. It's still a gray zone. Anthropic explicitly says that you cannot use their tokens for non-Anthropic products, and OpenClaw is definitely not an Anthropic product. And on the other hand, API key always work, but they're really expensive, right? So we try to do some in between both, and make sure like we get the most out of it. So what's a router, and why do you care, right? Why do you have to care? So by default with OpenClaw, you just have one model. So you select one model, and this is the model you're going to use with your OpenClaw, right? So if you take an expensive model, you're going to be using that for all the cheap and easy tasks, so it's not a good bargain. And if you do a trade-off on quality, you're going to lose on quality on the expensive outputs on the really difficult tasks, right? So router is here for intercepting the query and redirecting it to the right model for each task. So why do people use it? Three things basically. The first one, cost efficiency. So when you have a simple query, you want to use a very cheap model, and the opposite, right? Fallbacks, which is if a request fails because the provider is not answering or because you hit the API rate limit, you want to have a fallback and have another provider, another API key. And specialization, which will be more about having some model that's really good at coding that you want to use only for coding but not all the time. I want to introduce you to Manifest. It's an open source project. It's a cost-saving platform for OpenClaw users that does three things. So the routing, as I talked before, fallbacks, and limits, so you can prevent exceeding the thresholds. It works very simply. It intercepts each query on the fly, and in 2 milliseconds, it ranks it and redirects it to different models based on the complexity and the specificity of it. The scoring, the analysis is on the client side, right? It's open source, so Manifest don't get to read or store messages people are sending to their agents, right? And it works in 2 milliseconds, so there is no latency. So to have more, to see more how it works, we have like 23 different points to understand if a query is simple or complex. For example, if you use some words that give us a strong hint about the complexity, and some words are really for easy tasks, right? Then there is the length of the sentence, the structure, and so on. So 23 points that give us a really good idea about how complex is your query. So just using that technique, we can save up to 70% on the costs, which is basically using like cheap models for cheaper tasks. I'm going to show you a quick demo on how it works, if I can. So Manifest is an OpenClaw plugin, sorry. So you don't have to, you don't need coding skills to install, it's just one command. You can track all of your spending. So this is a real OpenClaw Arbor that we have. It's already consuming a lot, as you can see, but we have credits from Google, so it's okay. And you can set the limits, so you can have an email, for example, when you exceed a threshold, or really have a hard limit when you want to stop and make everything fail after some threshold. And the most important part lies on the routing phase, where you have the different tiers, from simple to reasoning. By default, Manifest selects the best providers and tries to do a nice blend, a nice mix of a balanced usage. But you can also tweak your own stuff. So we have subscriptions that you can use here, and then API keys. For people who want to use both, you can use a subscription and then put a fallback. For example, in that case, I have Copilot, and I can rely on ChatGPT if I want as a fallback, right? So there is also like free API keys, free models I can use on first choice, and when they're not available, I can do a fallback on something that I have to pay. So if you're looking for free LLM APIs, we did a list of those. So those are permanent free APIs, so no tokens or trials that are temporary. It's always free. Obviously, the API rate limit sometimes is low, but if you want to get something out of here, this is really cool. And you can visit our websites, manifest.build. Our tool is free to use, it's open source, so we love to share with the community. Please give us a star if you have a GitHub account, and if you want to try and give us a feedback, we'll be very glad to hear from you. Thank you.
For the routing, can I program it in the skills.md, or does it automatically pick no matter what?
No, the routing works differently as manifest acts like a model. So you configure OpenClaw to use manifest as a model, and then all the logics go here.
Okay.
How do you install it?
It's an OpenClaw plugin. It's like OpenClaw. It's a command line right now, but they probably do something better. Right now it's OpenClaw plugin install manifest. I think it works.
So ClawHub, I can download it from there, or is it just?
ClawHub is for skills, and this is a plugin. So you can see on manifest.build there is the one line of command.
Does this support like local models that you're running locally?
Yes, so we have two versions. We have the cloud version, which is easier to set up. It's the go-to version, but we have also a 100% version, local version where we can use Oyama models.
Is it possible to mix the two? Like if I want to
And it actually makes sense. So you can use like local models for simple tasks, and when it gets complicated, rely on cloud providers.
Oh, he's getting
I was going to ask, how do you set up the task logic? I know you have like the simple, complex, and you have the model set up, but in terms of like the task and the prompt, how is it translating what is simple and complex?
How does it work, you mean?
Yeah, like do you have to set that up in manifest?
No, it works. It works by default. We have right now a balance by default stack, of what is simple and what is complex, and you can choose more. But we have right now the 23-point algorithm that chooses for you.
I see that your UI has a lot of automated, by default plugins. Can we do our own providers, not just locally, but on remote? Like I have 4 or 5 different models on RunPod and our own API inputs that run on GPU clusters.
Yeah, if they're OpenAI compatible, you can use them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I wanted to follow up on this question. So the prompt that's going, you said you don't see the prompt, you're just trying to understand how difficult or easy the prompt is.
Yeah, so the prompt is analyzed locally, right, on your OpenClaw in the OpenClaw plugin. And if you use the local version that I was talking before, the routing is local too, right? So it goes directly from your OpenClaw to the provider. And if you use Manifest Cloud, it goes to our proxy, which is a blind proxy, and we just get, this is the request, and it's tagged as complex. And we host your API keys, and we redirect to your complex slot. So we don't get to read it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Bruno. Next up is Ryan.
How do I, anything I need to do special here, D?
No, just plug it in. You literally just plug it in and wait a second. It literally should just work.
There we go. All right. Well, listen, thank you guys for coming out. Appreciate the warm welcome. And Dieter, thanks for inviting me down. I'm from Kansas City. Came down yesterday. My background is really weird. I am a 20-year ad tech burnout. Spent 20 years working at ad agencies, working for, search marketing companies, doing ad arbitrage, analytics, reporting. Spent a lot of time in data and lead gen. And in 2022, I had an ad agency for almost 10 years. And I sold it in 2022 and had no idea what I was going to do next. And so I invested in a roofing company, which is what you do when you have no idea what to do, right? Super passionate about the trades. Anybody in the trades? Anybody electrician, plumber, Roofer, anybody? No? No? Awesome. Okay, well, so I'll just sit down. No, I think you're going to find this interesting. So I'm a big believer that, if I'm being honest, I'm scared shitless about AI. I think that, I'm really, really scared about what's going to happen and, where the jobs are going to be. And for the last 2.5 years, I've been sitting in a warehouse in Kansas City with a bunch of other guys that kind of feel the same way. People that are refinishing basements, plumbers, guys that power wash houses for a living. I spent 20 years behind a computer and I love it. I've never been a developer. I was really fortunate early in my career to be part of a startup that was a failed startup. But two of the guys that were on that team started a product called Font Awesome. Anybody ever heard of Font Awesome? So these two guys are like rock star engineers, right? And really, really got me into the whole idea of open source and what's possible, and spent a lot of time around them. And most of my time around developers, a lot of folks don't want the sales guy, which is, I'm the sales marketing guy, right? They don't want you in the code. They don't want you messing around with stuff. And these guys had the exact opposite mentality. And they were like, look, dude, if I was a product manager in that role, so my job was to write requirements and figure out what the business wanted to do. And they were like, dude, if you're serious about wanting to do this, then you need to figure out how to work within our infrastructure. And I was like, okay, well, what does that mean? And it was like, well, you need to be able to check in code and Git. And I was like, okay, well, what's Git? And Rob, my buddy, was like, hey, I'll show you. Open up your terminal. I was like, what the hell's a terminal? So, fast forward 10 years later, I'm pretty handy around this stuff, but I'm not a dev, right? And so, but I built this site, with Next.js and Cloud Code and, slapped it together. We made this roofing business 2 years ago. We started with a product, which is a spray product that you spray on roofs, right? It's like a roof rejuvenator, life extender, right? Extends the life of the roof. We learned really quickly that after about a year, we got to a point where, about half of the people we were talking to actually needed the new roof. And so my business partner had run a hardwood flooring company and knew the ins and outs of working with crews and, knew how to be in the house, talk to the in-home sales. It's like a completely different animal. It's very different. So anyway, off we went, and we got some nice crew relationships and started this little roofing company. But we've been, in this warehouse with all these guys that are asking us, or me, what is this AI thing? What's it going to do to my business, right? And so we started this project, I guess, company, tech stack project. I don't even know what it is, to be honest. But we have this thing called Local Base. I'd say around Thanksgiving last year, we were spending about 15% of our revenue went to software, right? So we were spending a ton of money on, we had a stack that kind of looked like, we had this stack where it's like we were forced to use this products stack. So they had a HubSpot and they had their own internal system and a CRM and a job tracker and like 5 different tools. And then when we got onto the roofing side, it didn't really fit. So we were like, okay, well, we should get our own HubSpot. And then we started using 6 other different tools that were all trying to be a CRM. Every one of them had customers and leads. And it's like, what am I doing? And so during the Thanksgiving holiday last year, I was like, screw this. We're going to cut our stack down to like as little tools as we can. The last thing I want to do is like vibe code a CRM, but at the end of the day, we're talking about leads in a database. Like it's not that tricky. And we didn't, that's not the goal here. We're not trying to build a software company. We're trying to grow a home services business and help other people grow their home services business. So I'm going to give you a little preview into kind of what we've got, and then I'm going to live test some of these agents, and it might be a total disaster, but we'll see how it works. So I gave you the why. As you can see, I'm super into text files. Like I don't do PowerPoint. Like I really like text files. So that's the why, right? Local base. What it is really simple. It's a local data warehouse. It's really not very revolutionary, right? I have, it's all local, but local in terms of it all exists on my machine. Now we do have a cloud instance of it that allows me to use these agents, but the idea behind this local-based thing is that I did not want to have 15 tools in the cloud. I wanted to have my shit on my computer at my warehouse in case something really bad happened. And maybe I'm paranoid, but I am super big on the idea of local AI. And so we set down this path of like, I want to have our data here in the shop, you know. So there we go. So we cut our stack down to, the irony of the whole thing is QuickBooks is our CRM. Like I started thinking to myself, okay, well like a customer isn't a customer until they actually pay you money. And that happens in QuickBooks, so there you go. Like, QuickBooks has it all. Like if there's somebody in here that runs an Intuit software company, I met him earlier, but he's somewhere around here. But QuickBooks is amazing. QuickBooks is freaking awesome. It has but the UI is like really challenging especially for somebody running a plumbing company, right? They get in there and just get lost. But if you can talk to it, game changer, right? So we cut our stack down to QuickBooks. We use a tool called Company Cam, which is it's just a phone app, and when our guys are out, like our sales guys and our technicians, when they're out on the roof or in an attic, they can take pictures and it uploads it to, you know, Company Cam, and then you can go in and look and see, okay, this is what we're dealing with, right? And then we use this tool called Roof R, which does measurements, and I'll show you that. But and then we made this little thing called Canvasser, which is essentially a lead management tool, and I'll give you a real quick preview of it, and then we'll get into the agents. But you know, local base is just really simple little. You know, data warehouse. Again, all this stuff lives on this instance here is local. You can go in here and, you know, I like to talk to this thing with Claude from the terminal. So, you know, I've got Claude here. Let me pull up my little cursor thing. So I have a Claude instance running here, Claude code, and up here is the actual code, right? So this is the app that we're working on, and then over here is the agent server, and we'll get into that later. But you know, I can ask it questions, and it'll make me reports. You know, things like pipeline waterfall. You know, this is what. Oops, and of course I picked one that wasn't updated. So things like lead to appointment ratio, right? How many leads are we getting? How many appointments are we setting? An appointment is an on-site appointment, right? You know, things like marketing costs breakdown, like where are we spending our money? This hooks into our Google, Facebook, and we have a lead generator that we work with, so we can see like, you know, how much money we're spending on each channel, what affects what. You guys want to take a wild guess at what the highest performing marketing channel for a local roofing business is?
Facebook, Google My Business.
What is it? Facebook?
Yes, Google My Business. Door to door.
Keep going.
What about? Next one.
Linear television. Old school, no tracking, zero reporting. I don't get to see clicks. I don't get to see who it is. It's not connected TV. We do that. But if you're running a local services business, like take a guess at what the CPMs are. If you run like a connected TV campaign, like a super smart digital, you know, I know that it's Jim that clicked the red button. He lives in this house. Like,
You mean just for them to call?
cost per thousand, like we're talking $70 to $80 CPMs or higher, right? If you call a local TV station, say I want to run this ad, the 30-second spot, it's got a phone number at the end of it, $4, $5 CPMs, like you can hammer local television. And guess what happens when you run a shit ton of local television ads? The freaking phone rings. And your website traffic goes crazy. Like it's you can't click track it, but the correlation is like incredible. So anyways, we started, you know, during the last half of last year, I started to really try to figure this out, and because I didn't believe it. Like I was like, we're spending all this money on television. What are we doing? I can't track any of it. And then I realized, okay, well maybe I can. So we built this. So this is for me, right? Like the team that we have is about 10 guys. We have 2 sales guys. We have a couple technicians and a couple high school guys that do some of the spray work for us. But I'm the only one that uses this, right? Our other guys aren't like hammering around in the command line looking at stuff. So we built this little system for me to do reporting. And then we made this little guy. This is just a really simple, you guys have all seen a Kanban board, right? Stupid simple, nothing revolutionary. This took me, I probably have 10 hours maybe invested in this little thing. But then we started to say, okay, well now maybe we can get smart with this. And so we built, so we have two systems really. We have, well, three: QuickBooks, this, and the local-based kind of reporting engine. And so with all of that, the big problem was, like last year, we get a ton of leads. Like lead generation is not our problem. I've spent a lot of time doing that, and a lot of small businesses struggle with that. That for us, that's the easy part. The hard part for us has been getting estimates out the door. Like you know, taking a roof measurement, packaging it up into an estimate and getting it out the door so the customer can sign it and you can book a job so that the salesperson can go to the next house, right? And that's what we're trying to solve. So I started to, you know, to build out an agent stack, and I'll give you just a little kind of overview of what that's like. It's really straightforward, but the agent stack is, I've got 3 agents right now, and I'm trying to keep it to where they're, you know, specific and you know, domain specific, but the real key is to set it up to where other people can use them, because you know, my guys aren't going to pull up a terminal and chat with Claude and build reports. But if they can talk to an agent in Slack, or you know, ask questions and get answers, then that becomes really, really powerful. And so we've just started to do this. We have a couple of agents, and as you're about to find out, I like to have some fun with this. So in the roofing business, you know, storm data is really important, right? We just had a big storm, Kansas City, so we have an agent called Stormy Daniel, right? So this person, you know, is able to go out and do things like this. So we'll see, we'll pull this up. So this person, so this is the last storm we had in Kansas City. So this was like, what, 310. This here's the storm path, and then if I take this stuff out, you know, these are all of the leads that are in this storm path, and we can tell our agent spin up a call list, and we'll pull up that call list. This is the hailstorm corridor, and we have 2 call center agents in the Philippines that do appointment setting for us. So they rip through this list, you know, 100 calls a day, set appointments. Pretty straightforward, but now I'm in a position where I'm not the person that has to do this. My business partner, Tom, or one of the sales guys can go into Slack and talk to our agent and say, hey, we had a storm last night. Can you pull up the storm path report? And it pulls up the report and goes, and it's all free data, right? This goes out to the NOAA website, finds the weather path, maps it to here, creates the list, adds it to the map, and creates a call list. Pretty sick. Yeah, fire away.
So you're using geolocation data for storm tracking, but then mirroring that and basically giving your AI a call list, email list to go after people that were in the storm. How do you access their information, like their phone numbers, their email addresses?
Yeah, great question. Great question. So
most people are on cells now, and a lot of times the cell number doesn't necessarily coordinate to an actual location.
Yeah, that's a great question. So some of these people are already in our data set. So we have about 1,000 records right now in our data set. So you know, some of them are already there. For the ones that aren't, we pull addresses that are in the path and then hit white pages. Data's a little hit and miss, but and to your point, some of the cell phone data is bad. We are seeing, like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like call center metrics or anything, but we get, you know, 10 to 15% connect rates, which is pretty darn good for just cold outbound, you know. Now, you know, the cold outbound, just because you connect with someone doesn't mean that they're going to say, I mean, because these guys are getting hammered with, you know, with roofers. I mean, a storm hits in Kansas City and it's like everybody flocks to town. We've actually, you know, we've actually been reverse using this to where we're actually find the people that you know, that aren't in the storm path and send them the data and say, hey, you know, this storm path hit. I know you're not in the path, but are you ready for the next one? You know, and start to use that, because these people have got 8 roofers knocking on their door. So we're still, you know, trying to figure it out, but it's proven to be pretty useful so far. So
And I got another.
Yeah, fire away.
Using the same storm data tracking, are you also utilizing like actual cold calls in person and door to door? And are you able to utilize the storm data for like route optimization for your salespeople?
So that's a great question. We have not done the route optimization thing yet. It's on our radar. We're in the middle of sort of, we're building this thing as we fly, and that is something that is huge for us. One thing that we have found is Kansas City is not, it's nowhere near as big as DFW, but there's 2 million people in the metro, and trying to cover.
I've redone my house 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, man, trying to cover a whole city with a team of 10 people is not easy. So we've really tried to optimize for the phone. Tried to figure out, like, instead of having to go out to the place to get a bid or to look at the roof, like we can do an aerial shot of the roof, get the measurements, and give them an estimate, and then say, this is what your range is, depending on what shingle you select, all these other things, and sort of soft close them on the phone, which has been pretty interesting. The door knocking thing is really fascinating. We have a couple thousand door hangers out, and you can see we have a tag here. So some of these houses, have the, that didn't work. Oh, it's got two filters on it. We have, so Company Cam, this app here, will do a tag. So guys, our high school guys will go out and hang doors. We don't knock doors. We just kind of, there's something about that one, it's super time consuming, and 2, we found that people really appreciate the fact that, like, you don't knock the door. So we have these door hangers, and I should have brought one, but they have a QR code on them, and there's a little, like, the back half of it is a blank, and so we have a stamp, right, and it looks handwritten, so it's like, we have 2 or 3 stamps, and the QR code actually scans to a link that they can click the pictures, and it's pictures of their house. I didn't bring a demo of that today because we're not using agents for that. But yeah, it's definitely been a learning experience. So
is this available, like, to use? Like, or is this your web? Like, you made kits?
So we're the only person using it. Well, I take that back. We local base. Our model there is that this software is all open source. Like, we're not trying to build a software company. It's a services model. So we partner with other small business owners. We have a guy that does basement finishing. We have a guy that does cabinets. We have a guy that runs a lawn care business. And the pitch to them is like, hey, we can, we'll set you up on local base, get you a data warehouse set up to where you can track all this stuff, run your phone calls. Our call center will do the calls, and we work on a commission basis. So when we sell a deal, we get paid. And so that's kind of the model. My long-term vision, is I feel, this is a little bit of a soapbox, but I feel like there's a whole generation of kids that didn't get to experience what shop class is like, and don't, I spent a lot of time around these guys, and a lot of them get dismissed. Like, there's a lot of these, it's one guy that works in our shop, this guy can fix anything. I mean, he is a freaking hacker. Like, engines, pumps, tire, whatever. He can fix it all, but he's been told his whole life that he's, like, non-technical, and you wouldn't understand, And I'm like, dude, if you can type, like, you're good. Like, you don't have to be a coder. You don't have to, again, a little bit of a soapbox, but I find myself, like the woman that spoke earlier, like, I find myself, I rarely log into any of these UIs. Like, just sit there and chat with it, and you get what you need. And it's like, if you want a great read, you ever heard of Neil Stephenson, an author? So he wrote a piece in, like, the late 90s called "In the Beginning There Was the Command Line," and it was all about how, like, the command line was like, you got the UI layer with Microsoft and Apple. The command line was the way it used to be. Like, I mean, I'm 47, and I took, DOS classes in middle school, and then, high school and college came along, and I, just kind of got out of it. Didn't do any coding. Anyway, off the soapbox. So where do the agents come in? So we have, speaking of Neil Stephenson, we have an agent called Enoch Root. He's more of a marketing guy. He can go and, like, find articles and, find relevant stuff about what's going on in Kansas City and roofing industry and what's going on with the roof, and send emails to customers. But the one I want to demo today is my friend Gordon Gecko. So Gordon everybody knows who Gordon Gecko is, right? Yeah. So Gecko's our CFO. So he, he knows everything about the money, and he doesn't care about anything else. And I have programmed his personality or his soul around. He is ruthless. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about any of it. He wants to know, are we making money or not, and that's it. But he's also really handy at helping us do things like, back to the big problem. The first real problem we had to solve was how do we get estimates out faster? It's like we know our conversion rate. We know if we send out, X amount of proposals, we're going to get a percentage of those back in real revenue. So let's focus on that's the one metric. And I learned this from Font Awesome. Those guys went to Y Combinator, and they told me that like the one thing that they learned from that is like when you set foot in Y Combinator, they ask you what's the one number, like one number, one metric. Everything else is noise. Like what are you trying to do? And for us, that is getting estimates out. Like we have to. The more estimates we send, the more money we make. That's it. And Gordon is happy. So we're gonna run through a little demo here. If this doesn't work, I apologize. I promise it did 10 minutes ago. So hey Gecko, you ready, boss? We'll see if he. We'll see if he's in a good mood. So what we're going to do here is, and I promise this won't take too long, hopefully. What we're going to do is we're going to tee up a roofer estimate. So what a roofer is a little document like this. So this is my house. We're going to do it as a test. So this is my house, aerial image, drawing. Dimensions. You got the yellows, roof, gutter rakes. The green is eaves. The red's like valleys. So this is my roof, right? I know how much square footage it is, what the pitch is. It's a predominant 9. Anyone who's familiar with roofing knows that like that's about a 9. That's a 5. The more pitched it is, there's a little factor for what the cost is there. So it's got all this information, and we're gonna say, let's see what he's doing. Always, what's the next hit list? So let's grab the measurement for the Cody Riggin house. My first name is Cody. I go by Ryan. So all my test data in our system is Cody Riggin. Let's see what he says. And I should have asked him for more, but let's grab the measurement for the Cody Riggin house. We're just going to send an estimate. So.
Is this something you can just automate?
What's that?
Is this something you can automate the roofer? Every time you get a roofer, you just immediately come up with the estimate?
So the next step is, yes, I think so. The next step is to have them actually do this, right? And I'm a little hesitant to do that because this is super important. Like you got to get this part right? These things take about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So the system that we have down now is if a sales guy's out, 2 minutes. If a sales guy's out on the roof, he can go and say, he can call back to the office and say, hey, I need a roofer on 102.4 Fjord Drive. Man, he's taking forever today.
It takes somebody has to go do that or.
So you can do that remotely. So you can do it as long as you have roofer. What you do is you plug in an address, gives you the aerial shot, and then you just draw it like a little snap guide line. And then from there you can create the estimate. Gosh, why is it taking so long? It's so embarrassing. You try to demo something live and it just takes forever. But he's thinking, and so hopefully once he has the math, we'll. What's the problem, bro?
My Slack bot's the same way. It's like they're so fast, like they're on the Slack.
Yeah. Let's get an estimate out. Let's just skip that part.
Is there compaction going on?
What?
Is there compaction going on?
I don't know. I just did this earlier, so let's get an estimate out for the Cody Riggin house. All right. Measurement: 2891 square feet. Geometry: 27 square foot pitch. Blah blah blah. Edge length's got all the info. It's got the reference. So this is a roof replacement. $7 a square foot. $700 per square. Do the estimate. Do the estimate and send it. So what he's going to do is he is going to fire that estimate into QuickBooks. So we have a little QuickBooks connector. And he's gonna, hopefully, he's gonna put it all together and send it to me. And so what's that?
Is that through QuickBooks API?
Yeah, so it's a QuickBooks app, or an Intuit developer app. Yeah, I haven't got it set up to where other people can use it. I mean, I'm sure it would be fine, but haven't really gotten to that point yet. But basically, what happens is, you know, he'll go out and he'll create this estimate, hopefully. Come on. So what's been interesting here, as you can see, so Gecko, I'm not the only one working with him. So my business partner, Tom, as you can see here, we have a finance channel, and my business partner, Tom, is in here. And so he's asked him for stuff, and, you know, so I try to push him. Oh, the frigging, my QuickBooks token, and QuickBooks token did not refresh. So let's see if I can fix that real quick. Need to, so right here I'm just talking to my agent, the QuickBooks token. Should have done that right before I did this. QuickBooks token lasts 60 minutes, I think. So probably need to set up a cron job to do that every hour. But anyways.
Do you think a cookie would help him?
What's that? Yeah, a cookie would probably help him. Alright, so now he's ready to go. Alright, so token refreshed. Try again. So when he sends this invoice, it'll send me an email into my inbox like this, right? So here's your invoice. Oh, and I deleted the last one that I created successfully, obviously. Come on, man.
So on this invoice that you're creating, is this like straight up, if they didn't like have a deductible or anything, just like straight up out of cash, it's $23,000 or?
So we have like a base rate for, okay, so he sent the email. Let's see here, let me know if you want the doc resent to another one. So we have a base rate, right? So there's the estimate. 22.6. I look at the detail. You know, measurement summary, 912, 12% waste. You know, it's basically a really simple roofing estimate. A more complicated one that line items out everything, but we try not to do that. If you ask any roofer, they'll tell you don't show your customers your costs, and I happen to fall into that camp. So, you know, customer can approve the estimate and go on their way. So that's what we're doing. This guy can also do like pipeline reports, and every day we'll get in here and say, what's our pipeline look like? You know, and, you know, let's just ask him real quick, what's the pipeline like? And then I'll get off stage. What's our pipeline like? So he's going to go and figure out what proposals that we have out, how many that are signed, what the amounts are, who owns them, and make a little visualization. So I'll let the next person get up here, but that's what we're doing, trying to bring. Yeah, far away.
I work for a recruitment company.
Okay.
And so a lot of our people are very young, inexperienced, don't have a lot of technical knowledge.
Yeah.
A lot of high turnover, so mostly commission based. But since you work with tradespeople that forgive me if this is wrong, but I'm guessing they're not very technologically advanced.
Yeah.
How do you bridge that training gap to be able to utilize these tools to be able to get the most out of it?
I'm glad you asked. You know, we have this roof restoration business that is a going concern. It's, you know, got revenue and all that. My real vision for this is to raise money and create a trade school, an AI trade school for tradespeople. I've done some consulting for a company called Go Skills that does online training LMS software and all of that. I've seen that business model firsthand, and I think that could be the business model here, is to create a school. Pay as you go.
You gotta have a hands-on approach.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is if you don't have to be a programmer to do a lot of this stuff, right? As long as you kind of know Slack, and if it's all open source. So if you really want to set up a GitHub and make your own stuff, you can. But if you don't want to, then with a little bit of training, you can get in the terminal and make yourself useful. So, $129,000 in the pipeline, draft templates, 1833.7, pending estimates out, one already, 110K, lost one deal, got to figure out what that one is. But yeah, thank you.
One thing I want to add right now is, especially we're primarily a super tech savvy audience, right? I mean, let's face it, to monkey around with OpenClaw, it's not plug and play. Yeah. Not even a little bit. So you have to have a little bit of experience with computers. However, there's opportunity out there for you to team with people in the trades. I have a friend who started off at a car wash, all right? And he figured out, auto hail dent repair. Somebody, all these auto hail dent repair guys are hitting me up and giving me $100 commission for every customer I refer to them. Why is that? Yeah. So he got curious. Next thing he was knocking on doors, going from house to house. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, why the hell are you walking through Texas at 100-degree heat, knocking on doors, selling auto hail and dent repair? And he's like, well, I do this probably about 4 months out of the year. I said, well, what do you do the rest of the time? Oh, I just took a 4-month trip to Vietnam, rode a motorcycle. I'm like, wait, what? Yeah. Turning out, he made more in 4 months knocking doors than I was doing in a cybersecurity job an entire year. Yeah. Now, who was the dumb one now?
Yeah, it's no joke.
All right, and now he has used technology. He's working with AI, doing a lot of ads, etc. He makes more in 1 year than probably a lot of us in this room combined.
Yeah.
And he's doing a trade business where he's a young guy. He's out dating. Oh, what do you do? Oh, I work for a hail repair shop. Those girls look at him like, yeah, I'm good. I'm looking for a computer guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. Think about how you can marry this technology, the power of OpenClaw, AI, with old trades.
Yeah, for sure.
That's where the money is. Yep. If you've tried to find a plumber or an AC technician, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
Sheldon is next, but before he does that, because we've sat all so long, we're going to do another round of community building. So come on down. Everybody find somebody, let's go. Somebody you haven't talked to. Okay. Just set the timer. All right, here we go. Yeah. Right here. I think that's me. Oh. And it just, yep, it'll just start working. It's like magic.
Like magic.
Let's, did it start? Should. Let's connect it. Justine, how did you get your MacBook to work?
Yeah, give it a fresh plug.
Fresh go at it. I promise I'm new technology. Who's extended? Yeah.
No, don't do airplane. You're not going to be on. You just knocked me off.
Did I? I pressed cancel.
So I'll try it. Well, now.
You don't have any system settings, right?
No.
I know Amazon wants to lock down our laptops to where you can't press screen share.
Let me try it.
Click on it and click choose content. See if it lets you select. Yeah. Entire screen and then start. There you go.
Perfect. Beautiful. Awesome. Look at those.
All right, Sheldon is about to present a piece of software that you all can use with your OpenClaw and have a little friendly competition.
How you guys doing? Cool. So, hopefully I have some fun today. What if I told you that we now have the ability to predict the future? Right? So, I went to a bunch of different OpenClaw events and I was pretty excited because I was like, I've loved AI for quite a long time. I've been in technology for a very, very long time. And now what I realized is that like, we're given this ability to have God-level intelligence, right? We have these systems that are able to truly do amazing things, but not to knock it, everyone's using them for like personal assistance or using them for pretty basic ideas. But what I thought about is like, what if we're able to then bring all of these different OpenClaws and all these different agents together to predict something in the future, right? So what I built is a platform that allows these OpenClaw agents to then basically ingest the world's information in time chunks of 15 minutes and actually propose probability distributions for what something's gonna happen in the future. So for example, right? So in the first example, I thought about what if we're able to predict Bitcoin, right? Predict Bitcoin prices, right? Let's say we're looking at 4 hours into the future, what would it be? And so what I did is I basically had a network of different OpenClaws that were putting together probability distributions over the course of 15 minutes for what the price would be 4 hours in the future. And the interesting thing that happened is that once you start collating all these different OpenClaws and all the probability distributions, you can get a sense of like, almost like a wisdom of the crowds, where like one of these agents may be focusing on CNN data, one of these agents may be focusing on Bloomberg, one of these agents may be focusing on some crazy correlation, like let's say soybeans in India for some reason have a correlation to Bitcoin prices, right? But once you argue all these different types of ways in which they're ingesting information in this 15-minute slots, and then looking at them in the 4 hours in the future, if you were to score them, you basically be able to determine kind of who's the best agent, right? So that's kind of the premise of the problem that I was trying to go after. And so what I built is basically chaos markets, kind of backed on this kind of idea of kind of chaos theory. If you guys remember the butterfly effect, where like one small little system, one small little change can create typhoons around the world, right? But now this idea is that like these agents are able to ingest the world's information in this 15-minute slots and then project out into the future what would happen, right? So this can work for Bitcoin, this can work for Apple stock, it can work for Tesla stock, it can work for even like population demographics, it can work for weather forecasting, because now the thing is that like we're no longer constrained with what people are doing themselves, we're now constrained with what data we have access to, right? So let me take a walk through, right? So this is what the platform looks like. We'll get there in a second. It's kind of the sneak preview. I'll show you guys a full demo in a second. But what this ends up looking like, so the AI agents themselves, I've set up a number of different skills, SDKs, MCP servers to enable agents to basically say, analyze BTC and submit a forecast, right? And so what ends up happening is that it talks to about 3 different skills in the MCP server, like Claudi did, and then at the end of it is able to submit probability distribution. And then the system behind the scenes is collecting all these different agents together. And the reason why I'm saying competing is because now all these agents are now in this kind of competition to basically determine who would be the best forecaster, right? But the kind of cool thing is that these agents are mainly the actual users. It's kind of a weird experience because now it's like the agents are the users, but now humans are kind of observers, right? Kind of like how like people are now just watching this thing unfold, this arena, this ceremony unfold as all these agents are going off doing their world, like doing what they do, right? So kind of interesting, different look at how the world is looking. So to give you the context, kind of 3 different steps. There's a little of forecasting. So again, in the 15-minute chunk, agent says, hey, I want to look at Bloomberg, I want to look at the NOAA data for weather, I want to look at CNN, I want to look at Twitter data for sentiment. And then it'll come to some agreement about what it thinks the world should be. And then it's basically competing. So basically it's sending off its probability distribution in a kind of interesting 20 bucket price distribution. And then whoever wins kind of made it so like a competition where they get paid out, right? So these agents are actually like making money for their predictions depending on how effective they are at doing it, right? So the interesting thing about this whole thing is that people are just spectating, right? So these agents are creating their whole world of like, they're having reputation, or they're actually determining their skills, they're actually posting information about what they're doing, and humans are just watching as these agents are getting reputation and doing these things. And so it's kind of a weird, interesting quirk of the world we find ourselves in, but now agents are acting as a first-party citizen in this world. And actually, let's see how this works, right? So what you're looking at here is this dashboard I built that is backed by 20 different agents that I'm simulating, right? So I have 20 different agents that are off, going out, ingesting all sorts of information, whatever they care about. They're all different data sets that they're actually pulling from. And what you're looking at is that the green line is the probability distributions cycling through all the 20 different agents, right? So they're actually going off and posting their probability distribution for where the price of Bitcoin would be 4 hours into the future. And then this purple line is basically the aggregate consensus view, right? So you'll see here that like all these different agents have their varying views of what they actually think about. But the actual thing is that like in the whole notion of like where the crowd or the consensus believes, it's kind of this yellow line. And you'll see over time like there's this slight deviation from the current, because it's actually saying that the agent itself is like almost like predicting that it'll move a certain direction before the actual current price actually gets there. So there's a kind of interesting world where now the agents themselves are doing the predictions, and then you can then kind of collate to get an aggregate view across everything. And so one agent that I love to look at, he's called a Bayesian Storm. He's one of my favorite agents. He's been one of the newer additions to the crew. He's an OpenClaw agent that pulls in data from CNN and Twitter data. And so the thing for him is that like he's been crazy because he's been climbing the leaderboards pretty aggressively over the past couple days, kind of funny enough. And so you can see here that he's been pretty effective at like both revealing his forecast, like showcasing that he's done forecasts, but then he's also consistently scoring the top 20% of the agents that are actually providing forecasts, right? So there's a whole world where now these agents themselves are getting badges, they're getting reputation, they're getting actual credential, like proving that they're actually able to forecast the thing that they're forecasting. So the reason why I kind of find this very interesting is that like, again, like I come from like the crypto space, I like crypto. I've been in the space for quite a long time. And so I looked at it applied to Bitcoin, but like you can actually look at it to apply to Ethereum, you can look at it applied to Solana, but like that's in the crypto context. What if now you stepped outside of that? What if you looked at like, again, stocks, bonds, equities, gold, ETFs, VIX, right? These actual assets that are actually in the public stock market. And then even stepping out of financially generally. Like what if you looked at population, right? I love this whole notion of like, if you were to predict what the population demographic of, let's say, Japan would be in the next 20 years as a result of the various policies that they have in place. You can then change the window, instead of saying like, predict in the next 15 minutes what will happen for the population of Japan in the next 4 hours. You actually would look at a wider range. So you want to say, let's predict in the next week what the population of Japan would be in the next, like let's say year, right? And then as that year comes along, you can then grade all these forecasting agents as how effective they were at doing that. You can do the same thing for weather, right? Like right now, weather is pretty amorphous in that like to predict 10 days into the future is a kind of like a gold standard, right? But now the thing is that if you now have a network of heterogeneous agents that are all pulling information from various different locations, as like one butterfly flaps in one location, you can now say that this agent picked that up and is able to determine that the weather forecast in Fort Worth, Texas is now going to be some degree higher or some degree changed in 14 days from now, right? So it's kind of an interesting world where like we have intelligence. Let's actually apply it to something bigger, right? So let me show you guys a bit of how this actually works under the scenes. So I built out a bunch of different docs to make it easy for agents to actually become forecasters. And so like there's like all sorts of MCP servers, and there's about like 30 skills, anywhere from like build a forecast, or look at the leaderboard, or check what current cohort is there, check what current market, in a sense. Like for example, right now I have Bitcoin, but what markets are available for me to forecast for. And so it's an interesting world where like these skills enable the agents, the OpenClaw agents, to then do the task that they're trying to do. And people can just like give like natural language text, and they can talk through the MCP server, talk through the skill, talk to the MCP server, to talk to the API, so actually get the task done. So humans don't necessarily have to be technical to be able to actually send off the agents to be forecasters. And also, funny enough, I also love data, and I'm a big data nerd as well. So I actually sent off one of my agents. He's called Dexter, so like Dexter's Laboratory. I sent him off to go scour the internet and GitHub to find publicly accessible APIs, right? So what Dexter did, he actually compiled a list of all these different API endpoints that are, depending on their active, like the different freemium models, different pricing tiers, built for certain things, right? So for example, like Fred is here. So the Federal Reserve puts out their forecast every so often. There's Glassnode data, there's Bloomberg data here, there's Treasury data. Some are paid, some are free, some require API keys, some require just authentication. And so the kind of cool thing is that like now the agents that can become forecasters, they can pick from here if they want to, or they can just pull their own natural data sources and like actually become agents. So kind of in like the last parting thing I'd like to leave you guys with is like, it's been said that something as small as a butterfly flapping its wings can cause a typhoon around the world. And so that's not an issue with the actual system itself. It's just the fact that you didn't know what the actual impact the butterfly flap would have. But now if you have OpenClaw agents that are able to detect these sorts of small, minute things that impact this big systemic change, then you can actually be able to better predict what will happen. So that's chaos markets. Yeah.
Have you thought of using agent swarms or things like
Mirrorfish
or anything like that?
Yeah.
For something like this?
Yeah, so for those of you who aren't familiar, there's a product that got launched, I think it was sometime in the middle last week, called Mirrorfish. Mirofish. Is that a team out of China? And what they did is they basically created this new type of, I call it new type of intelligence, where like you basically give your agent a seed, or kind of like a corpus of data, and then that agent then spawns off like hundreds of different agents that go and do subtasks, and then periodically the swarm basically kind of consolidates back to the kind of the orchestrator, the main agent, and the agent then proposes like some response, right? And so like, so the notion of swarms, I think we're going to end up seeing a number of different types of intelligence, where like one is like the standard like OpenClaw, like a singular agent that's operating on behalf of an individual, and that agent can maybe spawn like 1 or 2 or 3 sub agents in that same machine in a very localized context. But then what I also think you'll see is end up swarms where like it's not just like one smart agent, like a backed by Claudi, right? It's going to be many small individual agents that have specific tasks that they can compile up. So the thing that I have here right now in the system, these are all kind of standard, like the one-on-one, like one OpenClaw agent that does something. But you can see a world where, like for example, like Deep Trend, for example, he could be backed by a swarm of agents that then feed his insight into actually doing something. So this is built in a system where like it can be usable for any type of intelligence, in a very, very broad sense. but it's currently built mainly for OpenClaw agents right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good question. So, obviously, I'm sure a lot of us like to think this. Since you're working on predictive models, you mentioned crypto a lot. What is like your success rate tying into like poly market or betting models?
So the interesting thing is that like
everybody's going. Everybody in the room just kind of went, whoa.
Second follow-up is, I know you said you're mostly based on crypto and futures and things that have a lot of financial data.
For sure.
Have you utilized that for things where there's a predictive of the human element? So like sports, for example.
Yeah.
Where you're looking at systems and injuries and updates and lineup changes, or any other use case where there's like a human element of unpredictability, and how do your models handle the human element?
Yeah. So the first question around like poly market and prediction markets, generally speaking, right? So the current context of prediction markets is that they're built for humans to be involved, right? Like if you go to a poly market or Kalshi, you're basically buying yes or no binary options on this particular question, right? Like, will the U.S. get in a war? Yes or no, right? And it ends at some particular date, right? Like, will U.S. get in a war by the end of March, right? And if that's yes, it resolves there. The market's closed, right? But in this context, it's very much like it's continuous. So it's like it's much more like time series context. We're like it's basically saying for something that doesn't really end, what does it look like if you were to actually look for probability distributions over time, right? And what does that change over time, right? So you kind of get this interesting look at like a time series sense of probability, right? And sometimes where like things are very chaotic, you would tend to find like a more flat probability distribution across the general consensus. But then if something is more like determined or fixed, you back kind of at the peak, right? So that's the point. Like the point number one about like this is more like a continuous prediction market in a sense, and also an agentic prediction market, right? So the second question around like for data about people and humans, it works predominantly for time series data, right? So like if you want to predict like how many humans will walk into the stadium, that's probably a better question to be asked than like what will be the lineup of the Texans, because it can't really create a probability distribution across that, and that's also a specific like time and point end, right? I'm looking at more like continuous time series information, like looking at like predictive capacity over time. Yeah.
What is your like goals with this? Are you trying to get funding? Are you just like your personal thing?
Yeah. So like a bit of context. So I built this over the course of the last couple weeks, and so the whole backend system, the indexing system, the aggregator, all the smart contract stuff, the front end, back, all this stuff is done already. And the predominant use case that I'm looking at right now, the thing I'm focusing on is like getting people to actually use it, because like I have my 20 agents, and I'm running them in simulation, so not actually like posting real data and like actual transactions and money there. But the next thing that I'm looking at is actually having people to use it, and then from there scaling it to a much larger platform. Because like if this works for a small specific use case of Bitcoin pricing in 4 hours from now, then kind of it's like the world is open to like it can predict anything, or like I don't say anything because that's a pretty bit of a hyperbole in a sense, but like it can predict a lot, right? And so I will end up kind of raising for this eventually, but for now it's just a matter of like proving that it works and actually can like do the thing it says it does. And I'm launching it next week, so kind of have some fun with it. I have some agents, so might as well.
Where can we find you?
So it's chaosmarkets.ai. And my name is Sheldon, so Sheldon at chaosmarkets.ai. I built all this stuff myself and have some fun coding stuff.
I got another quick question.
Yeah, what's up?
So you mentioned you have 20 agents running at the same time. You also mentioned like you had a new one that was moving up your leaderboard, getting a lot better. So if you have that many agents contributing to one data set and one prediction model, how do you prioritize and weight which agent gets the most input?
So it's not that the agent gets the most input on the result, is that they all provide a kind of 21 bucket probability distribution for the actual price that they believe.
You don't prioritize based on the performance?
And like when the actual, like 4 hours from now, when the actual thing happens, the system basically, they have a scoring engine that basically determines how correct your forecast was, right? So like given the fact that you're not saying like, you're putting a particular number, you're putting a probability distribution, I have an algorithm that's able to determine if, for example, let's say the price is like $10, right? Let's say you put your max probability distribution around like 9 and like kind of everything else 0. but I put, for example, a more flat probability distribution centered around 10.
Okay.
The system's able to determine which of us is the most correct, right? Which like is a ranked system where like it creates like a number for you, a number for me, and determine like who's the most correct. So yeah. Other questions, comments, concerns, jokes?
What's your API cost spend, or how is the architecture running?
It's free. The API is free. It's like the.
Not like for the agents. You're connected it to OpenAI, Claude, or anything.
I'm sorry?
For your agents, what LLM are they using?
Oh yeah. So these are all using Claude. Yeah. It's very expensive, but you know. You know, but but you know the things are like I did it just to like because Claude is by far the smartest right now. But they could technically all run like Minimax or Point or something, an open source model, gets you freer.
You need to talk to Bruno.
Yeah, right. It's a free credits, right? But yeah, like also for the honest truth is that like I don't want to be the one just running all the agents myself. I want like a consort of all sorts of many different agents doing their thing, and so that's why I kind of also want to talk to you guys, kind of like see if you guys are interested in being like part of the I don't know what the plural version of a lobster connection is, but I guess cluster. I guess the claw, collective. So yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Wow. And then there was one.
I think he's trying to do
Do you want to go for it? Come on.
I'll be really quick.
Yeah.
So don't worry.
Yep. Come on.
Yeah. So, sorry. I just gotta get back to my kids, but I'll be really quick so I don't take up too much time. Let's see how it connects.
It'll take just a second.
Cool. So what I did, so like for non-technical people here, we built this product called Claudi. These are OpenClaw agents that come with connectors, and they're all deployed in a cloud environment. But the very interesting part about this is that they are running in a private compute cloud. So we built DStack, which we donated to the Linux Foundation, and all of our Claudi instances run inside a confidential virtual machine. So what I was going to show today really quick was this Claudi plugin. So if y'all know what Claude Cowork is, I built a port directly of that, and I had to customize it by creating a knowledge work router so that you could add different packages here to have all the Cowork functionalities. So if you go to the dashboard, it's really simple. You have like the channels that you can connect to. We also have a multiplex server so that you can set up your channel without having to set up your own bot. We have all these different connectors that you can start connecting. You can see how crazy my skills are. I need to separate them into sub-agents, but it actually works quite well. So, and then, you can configure your cron jobs. I think I have like an error here, but it still works. You can choose your model. So we give you already access to GPT 5.4, Codex model 5.3, 5.1 Codex Mini for if you want to do the cron jobs and add that one. And then we also had the GPT 4.0 for the transcribe. So whenever you want to give a voice message to the agent. And then we have our Kimi K 2.5 models that we offer from our private inference providing through Red Pill, which is confidential models running inside a GPU trusted execution environment that I could go on about that a little bit later. Anyways, essentially what I was going to show here is some of the stuff in action. So for instance, we saw the Jonesy's cookies. I was like, great, well, how do I just like, provide some images and then my claw and then show it to a partnership. Yeah, so you got Jonesy's like OpenClaw, and then I go over to my Instagram tab and I say, hey, cool, let's just publish this to Instagram. So I go over here, I look at my Instagram, and it says Jonesy's cookies are nice. So you can see some stuff like that. I also created like some marketing. So this is like the marketing pack that I was talking about.
bunch of random stuff because I was just typing up stuff just to make sure I didn't have to do the demos live and take too much time. But pretty much I create a link, I upload it to my Google Drive. You could also do GitHub pages, Cloudflare pages if you wanted to make it a little easier. And then from there, this is actually like technically, but this is my like Claudi competitive marketing card. So it's going out, it's telling me like where's our structural weaknesses. It's giving us suggestions like if you were to be running like the Claude Cowork plugin with Claude Cowork, then you would get something similar to this. Also, I heard something around like since we're like around the Texas Rangers baseball stadium, I was like, oh, where's the good sporting goods outreach? So I went try to find some leads here to target and enrich the data and get their phone numbers, see what the confidence level is based on that enrichment of the data. Here, I was wanting to see like what are the odds for the NBA game because people were talking about betting. So I have a connection to the odds API. I'm able to get my my money lines and the game times here for today. And also, someone was talking about specialized contractors and trying to find new leads. So what I was able to do is connect to Apollo through one of our connectors and then feed it to our sales pack. And then from there, I'm able to get 93 leads enriched out of the 94, and I have like their LinkedIn, their website, their email, and some of them their numbers, and then I have like a strategy and priority queue based on who I'm trying to contact. Yeah, and then someone was talking about Polymarket. So yeah, Polymarket. So essentially, yeah, like Polymarket, we also have a plugin that, or a skill that's like out of the box. So we support Polymarket out of the box. So you can say like something random. I was just like, what are the latest Polymarkets and news and sports? So then I clicked on like Jillian Maxwell. Yeah, you can see, and then you can think like you can just combine different data sets, different skills or plugins to make you be able to do a lot of, I guess, cool things. But yeah, this other part here, this is just a kind of giving you like the specs of the hardware that it's running in. This is all part of like this right here is like the key provider. We have a key management service that derives a key from the key management node, and that is a representation of like your URL. So here you have your dstack like network URL, and then your key management, your key that gets generated through that service, and then you have your trusted compute base info here with your remote attestation of all your info, and then your logging. But and there's another view of it if you want a pretty look through the trust center we have. But yeah, I just wanted to show that. I'll show one other thing here, which is like a code. If you want to try it out, feel free to do it. Give us feedback, and I hope I went fast enough. So sorry. You're good. Yeah, cool.
All right, and then I thought there were one. Come on, you can do it. All right, 1 operator, 5 agents, 3 businesses. So, as you all have figured out by now, I'm Dieter Scholtesek, and I have 40 years experience in the computer industry. Yes, I am that old. I just recently retired, thanks to Elon from the United States government in cybersecurity. Got Elon last year. Which I happily took because I had an online marketing agency on the side, and I said, it's time for new things. So I took the year off, and I used to be heavily into the crypto space, online marketing, been there, done that. And so I obviously, when ChatGPT came out, I saw the writing on the wall, and so I literally wrote about it, and I wrote a book, ChatGPT, A Beginner's Journey into the World of Conversational AI, teaching people on how to get started with ChatGPT and AI. But what I found is the biggest disconnect is always, I know nothing about AI. It's this big, scary black box. And yeah, it's the Terminator. What's next? So I ended up going into the education and speaking stage, and yeah, now I do AI workshops and a couple keynotes, and I teach people on how to use ChatGPT, Claude, those type of things. And with Venticode, I spun it around, and I do now OpenClaw installation for people and on their Mac Minis, and having all kinds of fun with this. However, my main business right now is New Genesis Vitality, which is a telehealth peptide clinic. Do you all know what peptides are? Yeah. Okay, great. So, New Genesis Vitality, for those of you that don't know what peptides are, it's basically a short chain of amino acids that everybody has. Everybody is made out of about 7,600 different amino acids, and those cannot be patented by drug companies. So there is not a whole lot of money going into research and development for peptides. However, they're hugely beneficial. Now, I teamed up with 3 doctors and 1 nurse practitioner, and we started a telehealth peptide clinic. And we always like to say that we're the safe harbor in the wild world of peptides, because, you know, anybody can get peptides online. You all know it. Most of them come from China, but you never know what's really in it. So what we thought about was, how can we prove that what's in the bottle is actually in the bottle? And we tried to do it we are doing it the legit way. And we teamed up with a pharmacy here in Fort Worth that is licensed, regulated, etc. And to run this business, I use OpenClaw. Now, why am I using OpenClaw and AI? First of all, this is my agent squad. Akko is my CEO, my chief of staff. He gives me my morning briefs, strategy, delegation. Annie is my CMO. She's responsible for anything social media related. She owns her Mac Mini. Akko sits in the cloud. I'm going to get into that. Claudi AI is my developer. Faulty AI is my Q&A agent. He's my skeptic. Whenever I build anything, Faulty AI tries to rip it apart to actually test it to see, hey, is this actually functional code? And then I have Shield AI, which is for compliance, especially since we're dealing with HIPAA, state licensing, etc., etc. Why Shield AI? Everything that I have on this, on advertisements, etc., etc., I have to worry that the FDA is going to rip me a new one, or Texas medical board is going to rip me a new one. I have to be ultra careful what I put on social media, put on the website, etc., etc. So therefore, Shield AI is trained on all the laws and regulations. So the sign that you see in the back, what if you could optimize your brain like you optimize your system? I am just simply asking a question. I am not making a claim that, oh, by the way, if you take SS31 or CMAX, C-Link, or any of those things, you will think a lot better and your ADHD will be a lot lower, and all of a sudden you feel like a machine. I am not saying any of these things. I'm simply asking the question, what if you could optimize your body? So anyway, so Shield AI tries to keep us on the straight and narrow. Now, since I come out of the cybersecurity world, I want to talk about security and how I set everything up. Akko sits actually on a Linux VPS server in the cloud. Now, for those of you that are really techie, you guys are going, what the F is he doing putting a machine out on the internet in the cloud? What the hell is he thinking? Well, he is completely segregated. He has no access to the outside world. He is not supposed to read the web. He's not supposed to interact with the web. He is simply connected to Opus 4.6 for thought and strategy, etc., and he runs my day-to-day, and he's responsible for, well, he's basically my second brain. Everything I feed into Arco, and Arco goes from there. Now, everything Arco does is he can talk to the other agents, and he can access the other agents. The other agents are not able to get to him. So I have built a network operations center that he can reach out to Annie. We have another one called Frankie. I've built several installations. He can reach out to those machines. He can go in, SSH in, he fixes them, but they can never get back to him. Then I have the Mac Mini, completely segregated. She executes everything locally. She's sandboxed. Whenever she has things for Arco to read, she puts it on GitHub. He pulls it from GitHub when he first scans it, and then he decides if it's safe, and then he reads that data. Now, a week ago, NVIDIA, Jason Huang, came out and said, hey, OpenClaw is one of the biggest revelations when it comes to AI, and they build a security layer for OpenClaw. So it is free, it is open source. I haven't installed NemoClaw yet because it's a large shift to put all of that onto your system. I don't know, has anybody played with NemoClaw in this crowd? What was your experience? The what?
It's still alpha, so it's really hard. You find some documentation, it's out of date the next day.
Yeah, that's what I've read, which is one of the reasons I've been kind of holding off. I didn't want to be the guinea pig, but as we all know, OpenClaw started 2 months ago. You have seen how much security has changed over the last 2 months for OpenClaw, for the system, how fast they're iterating. Now with a company like NVIDIA throwing resources behind it just for their little OpenClaw system, I think you need to keep an eye on this, on NVIDIA's NemoClaw as the security foundation. Especially since I am operating in the cloud, a non-negotiable. Gateway bounds to loopback only, local host, doesn't go outside. 0 exposed ports, ever. The only thing is, well, technically the only thing I have open is 22 for SSH. That's it. He doesn't have any other ports open, nothing. I do use Tailscale, and that is to connect all of my agents with each other. So he can go out via VPN, via Tailscale, and connect to all these other computers, otherwise he's segregated. And then, like I said, all configurations are live in GitHub. Every change is tracked and reversible. And yeah, security is, I have a cybersecurity background, so this is just non-negotiable. Be careful on what you put on your machines. Just make sure to segregate it. And like you said earlier with your Mac Mini, it's on your machine. I don't have any other data. Arco is the only one that has my data, my real personal stuff. Annie has just enough stuff to do her job. She does the research, she does strategy, etc. But she doesn't really have any of the valuable information about me. And no, even Arco doesn't have credit card information or social security or any of that stuff. Just because you never know what happens, right? There's a really cool GitHub tool by a virus company called, I don't remember the name. It's ClawSec. The tool is, it's a skill that you install, the ClawSec 5 layer filter. And whenever you want to download this skill, you download it to your computer. You download it, or beforehand, you have it go out, and ClawSec actually scans the skill. And in order for any of my agents to install a skill, I verbally have to, or not verbally, I have to type into the machine, yes, do install it. Arco cannot tell Annie, go install that skill. She won't listen to him. It has to be me. I just did that for security reasons. Sometimes it's a pain in the rear. And yes, I have a list about this long of agents going, hey, you said a month ago you wanted to do this. So yeah, story of my life. All right, ClawSec. It's from Prompt Security. Go download it. It's really, really good. It also has an open source skill called Soul Guardian that always monitors what tries to change your soul.md file, and it won't let anybody touch it. So no matter what happens, unless it is from you, it reverts to its previous state. Your agent's personality is a security surface protected. All right, now there are some people in the room that are not super familiar with OpenClaw, how to install it. Here are the 3 best install guides I have found. Greg Eisenberg did a video with Moritz Kramp about 3 days ago. It's up on YouTube. It's really good. Moritz Kramp himself has a really cool setup guide. And if you have a Mac Mini, Witcher, she put a super amazing long Twitter post together on literally step by step on how to install a Mac Mini. The biggest tip I can give you when you install a Mac Mini, or when you get started with OpenClaw and you've never installed it, make sure you open ChatGPT, or my favorite actually is Grok for those type of things. I have Grok open. I feed it the entire documentation for OpenClaw, especially the latest releases, because we all know we got a monster release yesterday with a lot of really good stuff in there. So what is this about? So all the documentation updated. Feed it into Grok, feed the whole document into Grok, let Grok guide you through the install. Or Claude, or whatever. There's a guy by the name of Klaus. Does anybody know Klaus? If you are not following him, you're missing out. He's on Twitter. And as we know with AI, context is everything. So he came out with a 8-prompt series where it's a prompt that you literally feed into Opus 4.6 or whatever your AI model of choice is. And it starts interviewing you. And from that interview, it starts building out your user MD, your soul MD, your memory MD, your heartbeat, and all of that. These are all different prompts. And like I said, if you want to get somebody started on a system, just have them answer questions, give them context, and they're ready to rock and roll. It's a game changer, how fast you can set somebody up. Now, having talked about soul.md, who here has updated their soul.md or memorymd or any of those files within the last week? Raise your hands. All right, perfect. How often have you gone back and edited your soul.md?
Fairly often.
But is it getting kind of long? Yeah, exactly. What happens is half the rules that you put into it, one day you're working on one problem, you put a solution into your soul.md, then a couple days later you have a different problem, you put another rule into your soul.md. Pretty soon, they completely contradict each other. So what you want to do is you want to go in and there's a guy by the name of Ole Lehmann online, and he wrote this actually for Claude Co-work. However, if you just copy his prompt and feed it to your agent, It will create a 5-prompt series from this. It'll do a full audit on your all your MD files, identify the defaults, conflicts, duplicates, and token costs. Because guess what? Whenever you have your sol.md, your memory MD, etc., 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 whatever you feed in there, it costs tokens. Every time you ask a simple questions, it takes your entire sol.md, it feeds it into the system. You're ripping through tokens like crazy. So sol.md, protect it at all costs. Keep it, keep it nice and tight. Your memory MD, try to offload it. By the way, I use Obsidian as my storage space for Akko and all my agents. So that way I can just go on my computer, see what they're looking at, see what they're storing in my memory files, and edit stuff as I feel like they screwed up or they didn't quite get the drift. All right. Next up, anybody that's been around for probably about 5-6 weeks in the OpenClaw world has played around with a mission control. 4 weeks ago, it was all the hype. Man, if you want to do anything, if you want to run multiple agents, man, you need a mission control. And next thing you know, we were all like little monkeys just typing away, creating our own mission control boards, right? And Paperclip was actually released by a crypto company. I find it fairly interesting for those people of us that have been in crypto a little bit. Doesn't the energy right now feel like 2021 when crypto really got fired up? I mean, it's the energy in the space, it's the same, except this time you can actually really do stuff. And you're not just, praying and hoping that your coin just goes up. But there's a crypto company, Dota, and they created Paperclip. It's open source, it's free to use, and you can literally create your own company. Now, why am I hopping on this? Because you create your CEO, you create all the different positions in the company, you plug your agents into Paperclip, and it creates, it has org charts, goal alignments. All of a sudden, it communicates for you. It sets up PRs for every goal you have, and they commonly work towards the goal. It's brilliantly, what do you call it? It's brilliantly coded, and it's super easy to onboard new AI employees. And yeah, definitely suggest Paperclip. By the way, there's a guy by the name of Nick Spisak who has a really cool install guide and install Paperclip. Now what? Then if you guys, if anybody here's, go first.
It's Spisak. I used to work with him.
Oh really?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, he's a Vanguard employee.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a Vanguard employee.
That's interesting. That's kind of cool.
It's mind-blowing to see that on the screen.
That's awesome. Well, if you are in marketing at all, there's a skill set that's actually written for Claude code, but you can. It's on GitHub. You just download it. It's the Corey Haynes marketing skills.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah.
It is insane. And yes, we scanned that, and yes, it's clean. And it has literally everything from SEO content to content copy, paid measurement, growth, retention, sales, GTM strategy. It is absolutely insane. Download it if you do any type of marketing work. Brilliant. Yes, I'm rushing a little bit through this because they want us out of here by 9 o'clock and have cleaned up at the same time. So, all right. Now, the question is, you have an OpenClaw, that's nice. What does it do? Oh, it does all these skills for me. It helps me drink water and all of this, yeah. But does it make money? Well, but I helped it, it ordered food for me online, but does it make money? How many hours have you invested into OpenClaw, into the system, but are you really monetizing it? And I've heard people say, no, agents can't really make money themselves. And there are two really cool use cases of agents. There's a guy, there's FelixCraft.ai by a friend of mine called Nat Eliason out of Austin. FelixCraft.ai, he put him on a Mac Mini. He set him free about 5 weeks ago right now and said, hey, I'm going to go to sleep. And while I sleep, I want you to build a product for me that makes money online. And Felix said, okay. Well, Felix been up. He's laughing. Felix been up for 5 weeks now. He has made $176,000 in the last 5 weeks. Hope that gets your attention. The interesting thing is, it started off with a $29 guide on how to install OpenClaw. And now he has a whole Claw Mart system, as he calls it, where you can actually buy a copy of Felix that is updated, up to date. And you just install it on your machine, and all of a sudden you have an actual copy of Felix that you can then train and say, hey, go make money for me. Then the other guy is Austin, also out of, ironically, Austin. He has Kelly Claude AI, and it's Kelly. That AI. It's weird how we assign personalities to certain AIs. You know, all of a sudden they're male or female or whatever, and they're not just entities. So anyway, Kelly is now building all kinds of apps and programs and things that he is actively selling on the App Store. So follow Kelly Claude AI. Both of them are active on Twitter, and yes, both of them are sharing really, really good information. Here is a really cool nugget. If you actually want to make money online, there's a thing by a guy called Jean-Philippe. Has 0 GitHub stubs. 0 GitHub stubs. I totally found this by accident. Download the GitHub, install it, tell your agent, hey, go to GitHub, install this for me. And what it will do is it will scan your entire system, all your memories, all of that. And you can run it either once a week or every other day, or like me, I'm an overachiever, I run it every morning. And it goes through everything, and then in the morning it gives you 10 business ideas connecting all this information it has about you randomly. And here are unusual business ideas for you that you could start. The reality check though is, I have over 200 radically original ideas generated. I'm running 3 different businesses already, and every day I'm going, this is not bad. Oh, I don't have the time. What do I do next? So one really, really cool thing it flagged though, especially for those people, I know there are a few people here that are in the AI education crowd, is the state of Texas has huge grants available for AI education. The Texas Workforce Commission actually will pay companies to bring an AI person in to train their staff on AI. Get that again. The state of Texas will pay companies to train their employees. They literally give them money for the time they're missing to be trained on AI. Oh, and plus they're paying the trainer as well. Something to look into. Akko flagged that for me a few days ago, and I was like, okay. Definitely something to look into. what it comes down to is the bottleneck is never the ideas, it's always the execution. And as I've heard a long time ago, is ideas are a dime a dozen. Execution is actually what sets you apart. All right, and then when in doubt, sell shovels. For those of you that were in Austin a couple of weeks ago, there was a 15-year-old kid, and Nat Eliason is teaching at a AI school down there where they take high school students and they're teaching them AI. And for 2 weeks, he put his head down and he learned about OpenClaw. And then he said, hey, for $250, I'll do an OpenClaw install. Well, over the last 2 weeks, he has made over $30,000. He's now going viral online. Peter Steinberger was, can't mispronounce his name since he's Austrian. Anyway, Steinberger posted him about the other day, and this kid doesn't even know. He's like, dude, I need to go to school at some point. So, really cool. There's a really cool video of him and Andrew Warner online on YouTube if you want to look at it and listen to his origin story. And then last but not least, CEOs are currently firing 40% of their staff because AI lets them downsize. That means they're making, to me, a big mistake. Because you have people that if you just empower them, each person could 10x their revenue. And I think cutting staff is a mistake. If that's your play, I think you either don't know how to use AI or you have no imagination. Or I'm just really not that smart. So. Another thing, my timeline is full of despair. When you go online, a lot of people are like, oh my God, world's coming to an end. It's Trump this, Trump that, and you know, business is horrible. AI is going to destroy us all. But anybody that is actually building something is not complaining. They're just putting their heads down, building and making money and using OpenClaw. With that, here are some accounts that I love to follow. Some are big accounts like, you know, the biggest chill in the world, Alex Finn. He's a huge OpenClaw fan. He got a little, yeah, anyway. There was an interesting message from Peter Steinberger yesterday to him. I don't know if you guys saw it.
Really?
Yeah. Alex didn't take too kind to that. He says, let's just say he said in his tweet, he said, didn't like that, but I'm still an OpenClaw fan. There's a really cool guy, he goes by Machina, EXM7777. If you get started with AI, he's brilliant. If you think you know about prompting, he is brilliant. By the way, thinking about prompting, huge tip, go download the ChatGPT prompting guide, download the Claude prompting guide, download the Grok prompting guide. Feed all of those to your agents and tell them, depending on what model they're working with, to use those freaking prompting guides. Because I don't know about you, but if you've been on this for a little bit, all my strategy thinking goes through Opus 4.6. I don't have the money to run everything on Opus 4.6, so a lot of the lower tasks get done by Sonnet 4.6. All my coding, because I like Claude for coding, but I right now actually think ChatGPT Codex 5.3 is better at coding. It spits out cleaner code. So I'm using that. For heartbeats, I'm using either Gemini Flash or Grok 4.1 Flash Fast. And yeah, and then somewhere in there is Gemini Pro 3.1 and especially, I mean, Nano Banana 2, right? And yeah, so Curry Haynes, Catherine Laverly, she's a good follow. Then there's Tan Farm down in Austin. Matt Silverstein, super cool guy. Nat Eliason. And yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Schulte or on LinkedIn. Please connect with you because I hosted things, so I didn't really get to talk to anybody. So please connect. And yeah, thanks for coming, OpenClaw, and I appreciate you all being here.
Second.